So today, we're going to do something a little different. We're diving into a 6th grade English lesson, and I know what you're thinking, grammar? But trust me, this is way more than that. This is about seeing how a specific, deep philosophy can shape the way something as fundamental as writing is taught. So let's break it down. Okay, so the lesson kicks off with this really poetic passage. It's beautiful, right? Stars aren't random. Snowflakes aren't messy. And it gets right to the heart of a core idea, that order isn't about being boring or restrictive. No, it's about creating meaning. The lesson frames structure as this universal principle you can see everywhere, from the cosmos down to a single sentence. And honestly, this one idea, it's the key that unlocks everything else we're about to see. So, here's the roadmap for today. We're going to start with the practical stuff, the actual writing tools they give the students. Then we'll connect all those dogs back to the bigger philosophy driving it all, this idea of godly design. It's going to be a cool little journey from the what to the why. All right, first up, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the practical side of things. Before a student can even think about writing with purpose, the lesson hands them this really simple but honestly super powerful toolkit. And here it is. This is how the lesson tackles that scary blank page problem. Instead of just saying, go write, it gives students this structure choice board. Look at this. You've got 4 super clear options, cause and effect, compare and contrast, and each one comes with an idea and a starter question to get the wheels turning. It's actually a pretty brilliant way to break down what feels like a huge, intimidating task into small, manageable choices. Okay, so a student picks a structure. Now what? Well, how do they actually use it? The lesson doesn't leave them hanging. It breaks the whole writing process down into just a few simple, easy-to-follow steps. So it's a 3-stage process, super clear. First, you plan it out. And I love this part. It's not just about what you're going to write, but why. Are you trying to inform, entertain, or persuade? Then you draft, making sure you've got that classic beginning, middle, and end. And finally, and this is so important, you self-check and reflect. That last step is absolutely crucial, right? That's where the real learning happens. And that reflection part isn't just a vague idea. It's guided by this awesome writer's checklist. This thing basically empowers the student to be their own first editor. They're checking for things you'd expect, like, did I use a clear structure and did I use signal words? But check out that last one. I wrote with a voice that sounds like me. I think that's so cool. It's this great little reminder that structure and rules aren't there to kill your personality. They're there to give your unique voice a strong foundation to stand on. All right, so we've seen the nuts and bolts, the how-to of the lesson. But now we're getting to the really interesting part. This is where the lesson takes a turn and connects this practical skill of writing a paragraph to a much, much bigger philosophical idea. So how do they make that connection? Well, the bridge is this little fun fact they drop in. The lesson points at the Gospel of Luke, specifically highlighting that the author made an orderly account so the reader could know the truth. This is a huge move, right? It immediately reframes purposeful structure. It's not just a good writing habit anymore. It's being presented as a biblical one. And that leads us right to the core thesis of the whole lesson, what they call the truth to remember. When your words are well ordered, your message becomes clearer. Okay, makes sense. But then, writing with structure reflects God's own thoughtful design. Boom, there it is. Good writing is framed as an act of mirroring divine order. This is the exact moment where the practical skill we saw earlier merges completely with the overarching philosophy. So you have to ask, where does this whole idea of thoughtful design in education come from? Well, this one lesson isn't an island. It's actually part of a much larger curriculum that has a very, very clear philosophy. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. At the very heart of this entire curriculum is this one core tenet. Education without morality will hurt. It's a powerful statement. The argument being made in the source material is that just having knowledge and skills isn't enough. It says that education has to be paired with a moral framework, because without that, the curriculum suggests intelligence can actually lead to really poor choices and even harmful outcomes. So if that's the problem, what's the solution? The curriculum then points to the alternative. It pulls a passage from Romans that connects having a spiritual mind with finding life in peace. And that right there becomes the stated goal of the whole program. An education that doesn't just teach academics, but intentionally integrates them with moral principles. And that, in a nutshell, is the core philosophy of what's called the Godly Learners series. It's an educational approach that very intentionally weaves biblical morality right into academic subjects, just like we saw with that writing lesson. So you can see the ultimate goal here isn't just about creating smart students. It's about guiding them toward making better, more thoughtful choices in life. So all of this leaves us with a bigger question to chew on, doesn't it? Deconstructing this one lesson gives us a super clear window into how a core belief system can shape the teaching of a fundamental skill, and it really makes you think. In any educational setting, how does the underlying philosophy, whether it's religious, secular, or something else entirely, end up influencing not just what we're taught, but how we're taught it, right down to the very structure of a single paragraph?